And now, CL 650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
Well, good evening and welcome to Experts on Call here on CIL 650. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by the president of Interprovincial Roof Consultants. Always a pleasure to welcome Sean Lang back to the airwaves of CIL 650. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad at all, thanks. Tell us about Interprovincial Roof Consultants, Sean. How long has the company been around? It's been around longer than you've been part of it. You acquired the company some time ago.
Yeah. The company's been around actually since 1977.
Okay.
And it was owned by a couple different people before I bought it in 2007. But we're a full-service roof consulting company, and we basically do condition reporting on existing roof systems. And we write specifications for the replacement of those roof systems when the time comes that they need to be redone.
Sure.
And then we do roof observations or reviews of the installation as they're being done.
Now, observations. I wanted to stop you on that one because your company is Interprovincial Roof Consultants. You do consulting work, and yet your professional designation is a roof observer.
That's right.
So what's the difference between a roof observer, Sean, and a roof consultant?
Well, a consultant is the person that's going to be advising you about the process, is going to be writing the specifications, basically helping you through the process on the phone, in person, by email.
Right.
The roof observer is a person that's going to actually go out and review the process, the application in process. Okay, so they're going to go out and have the specification in hand and review what the roofer is actually doing on the building to make sure that they're reporting to you what they see, right? So you don't go up on the building, do you?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. Ladders and I simply do not coexist comfortably.
Most people are like that. They don't want to take the risk of going up on top of a roof.
Absolutely, and especially in weather like this.
Yeah, particularly if it's a steep sloped roof.
Right.
And it's high up. So our guys are ex-journeymen. Well, they're journeymen, but they're ex-roofers.
Okay.
They've all done time in the trade,
Sure.
as have I.
As you have, yeah.
And we have worked on those buildings. We've worked on slopes. We've worked on flat roofs. So we know the process to go up there safely, so that we're not going to get hurt and that nobody else is going to get hurt if we fall off the roof. And we can review the work that the roofers are doing and report back to you. So basically we observe and we report what's going on. We don't control what's going on, but we report it back to you and we let you know what's going on. And we also report that to the roofing contractors' bosses so they can discipline their crews accordingly.
So a lot of what you do, though, is organizing of these projects, putting together all of the needs of the client. Suppose there's a roof repair or perhaps a roof replacement. They come to you and go, well, this is a pretty big job and it's a little beyond our capabilities. We need some pros. So let's sit down and organize something. So that's what you do.
Yeah.
You'll on behalf of the client, whether it's a condo, a strata environment, or a single family home, or a commercial building, you'll get that whole thing done right from start to finish.
Yeah, basically we discuss what the needs are of the client and find out how much they know about their building. And if they don't know a lot, then we tell them everything they need to know about the building by going up on the roof, reviewing the situation that exists up there, doing cut tests if we need to, and explorations to find out what's actually going on.
Let me stop you for a second because you said if the client doesn't know what's going on the roof, then we'll tell them. Is it a safe bet that not many of us, clients or just lay people on the street, know anything about roofs at all? I would venture to say 99.9% of us don't have a flippin' clue, Sean.
Well, I don't know if I'd use 99%, but a lot of people simply know they have a roof.
Yes.
And they know when it leaks, obviously. That's when they get concerned and they remember that they have a roof. But a lot of people, it's an out of sight, out of mind scenario where they don't really pay attention to it because it's up there, and as long as it's not raining on them, they don't care.
Right.
But we do have clients who will call up and say, look, we know what's happening with our roof.
Okay.
We have many leaks. We know it's 20 plus years old. It's time for a replacement. We don't need a condition report because we know that, and it would be a waste of money. And I actually advise people that too. I'll ask them, I'll say, do you know what's going on with your roof system? Are you aware of its condition? And they'll say, well, yes, actually, we know it's done. I'll say, well, that's great. Then we don't need to do a condition report. You don't need to spend the money on that.
Right.
Let's move right into the specification.
Exactly. Okay.
So these are steps in the process. And if the client knows where they are in that process already, then we can jump in at that certain point and take it from there. And that also works if a client already has a roofer on board, already has a specification, or maybe just instructions that the roofer is planning to use. We can jump in and just do the review of the work as it's being installed.
Okay.
Which is not the best process, because if we don't have a clearly defined specification to follow, to look at what the roofer is doing and compare it to that specification, it leaves a lot of very big open holes in the contract that the roofer can get around to charge extra.
Right.
So when we write a specification, we go and review the whole roof system. We see what it needs. We look at joining components, walls, skylights, vents, whatever, and we see what has to be replaced or at least dealt with in the specification to make sure that the roof system is installed properly. A roofing contractor on his own, especially an unscrupulous roofing contractor.
And there are more than a few of those around, unfortunately.
Well, any construction company, any trade, there's always going to be bad guys and good guys.
Sure.
Right? But if you have one of the bad guys up there, he's going to just give you a quote that might say, yeah, we're going to tear your roof off and we're going to replace it with a 2-ply SBS roof system. But that doesn't tell you what kind of detailing they're going to do. Where does the roof stop? Are they going to go up the walls with it? And how high up the walls are they going to go? What are they going to do with the siding that laps onto the roofing and the flashings? Are they going to replace those flashings? Are they going to delete them?
Right, and you're asking questions on behalf of, in many cases, people who, as I mentioned a few moments ago, know very little and need some assistance, need somebody in there acting as their advocate, if you will, to ask those smart questions so people don't get away with stuff they shouldn't.
Exactly, because there's a lot of shortcuts that can happen. If the roofer isn't checked and at least scrutinized to some degree about what they're planning to do.
Right.
So I always strongly advise people to at least get a specification written up so that there is a document to follow. And that document will be the best guideline for the roofer to install the roof system to. And it also allows for a better tendering process. And quite often we'll get people who call up and say, well, we've already got a roofer, we just need you to come in and review the work. Well, that's fine. But I'll always ask them, who's the roofer, first of all?
Right.
How many other prices did you get? And they'll say, well, we got another one from so-and-so.
Right.
Okay, that's 2. What were they based on? Well, they gave us their quote.
They came over, took a look at the problem, and said, here's what it'll cost to fix it.
Yeah, and I'll say, well, are they the exact same roof system? Are they quoting on the same level of detailing? Is there any skylights or anything that they're dealing with, and how are they dealing with those? And I start asking 4 or 5 questions, and already I'm getting the blank stare.
Right.
Even if it's through a phone, I can tell.
Yeah.
Because they realize that they didn't do enough due diligence.
Right.
And there are some open holes that are going to be filled by somebody, and it's going to be the roofer who's digging for extras. Did they put in a separate price for replacement of plywood if they find any rotten plywood? Are they just going to make up a number when they find that you need 10 sheets of plywood? Or are they going to give you a number before the job starts per sheet so that you know how much each sheet will cost and they can't upcharge you too much?
Which is the way you operate.
That's the way we would do it.
Right. I mentioned 3 different client possibilities, Sean. The single-family residential home, a commercial building, and then a multiple residential building like a condo, apartment, or a strata townhouse environment. Which of those 3 client groups would Interprovincial Roof Consultants do most of your business with?
Probably mostly with the stratas.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a lot of strata work because in that situation you're dealing with a lot of roofing over multiple buildings typically. I mean, sometimes a strata can be one single building with one single roof on it, and that's fine. But sometimes there are townhouse complexes that could have 150 units, or there could be 24 buildings with 2 units per building, or whatever the scenario is. So you have multiple owners, and no one owner is in charge of everything. So they need to have a person that's going to be able to give them the proper instructions and guidance through that process. And when you get into a strata, the replacement of the roofs in the strata, things can get out of hand very quickly.
And things can run into 6 and 7 figures before your very eyes in almost no time at all.
Yeah, yeah.
It can get expensive fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's even for us, it's very hard to control the process because the contractors can be so varied from company to company, and then they subcontract some work out to other companies while they're doing the job, and you start off the job with 4 or 5 guys working on one building, and all of a sudden they throw in a couple more crews that are working on different buildings, and now you've got basically 3 companies working, 3 sets of workers working, and you have to monitor their process and,
Right.
and check on them to see that they're installing it correctly and write reports on all of that. And all of a sudden there's a lot of work going on. And
But before things get real busy, there's a little matter of the condo community approving the expense, such as it is, of this roof repair or replacement. Now, if my numbers are a little dramatic and high, let's just say 95% of all of us know zip about roofs. I think that's a pretty safe number. So now you got what, 300, 400, 500 owners in a condominium complex, none of whom basically know anything about roofs, who are going to be asked to pony up some serious cash by way of a special levy to create the funding for this roof. You've got a large group of people with very little knowledge who are reluctantly being dragged into this roof repair stuff. How do you handle a crowd like that? And who brings interprovincial roof consultants into the mix?
Well, I've often said that in every strata council meeting, which involves a certain portion of the strata, because not everybody shows up, there's the same kind of person in every meeting. Every meeting I go to, the same people are there. Different people, but the same personalities are there. So you end up with the person who's at the back of the room, whose brother's, mother's, uncle's son is a roofer and can do it for $5. And then you have other people who are engineers that are going to, pick at every minor detail. And then you have the people that can't afford to pay it, and they live on the first floor. So why do they have to pay for the roof? It's up on the 4th floor.
Right.
Why is it their problem?
Yeah.
These people are at every single meeting. So it becomes a challenge to explain to them, and usually I'll bring in some photos or something and try and let the pictures tell the story, because they're very good at that.
Right.
When you show them how bad a roof looks and the reasons why it's failing, they pretty much understand.
And it's not some random roof, by George, it's our roof.
Yeah. So what happens is that typically they'll establish a roofing council, and they'll have 3 or 4 people that are on that roofing council, and they're responsible for hiring people like us to come in and give them advice, and then reviewing that advice and making decisions and presenting those decisions to the owners at the general meetings. So they're the people that would call us in.
Okay.
Right?
Would building managers sometimes be involved in that decision-making process as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll act as a liaison between us and the roofing council. It works in any different variation. We'll have the presidents contact us, sometimes directly, and then the property manager will only come into play when there's invoicing or something that has to be dealt with. It really depends on how the contract works between the property manager and the strata council itself.
Right.
Because there's different levels of that.
Right. We're going to talk about water because, surprise, surprise, it's raining a little later in the program. But I want to just follow this strata condo environment thing. How does the process work? Because if this is where a lot of your work and time is spent at Interprovincial Roof Consultants, when it becomes apparent to someone that we got a roof problem here, then there's an education process that has to happen. We have to convince a majority of the owners that the problem does exist, and it's serious enough to the point where we have to demand a special levy, and we're really going to get right into people's pockets and bank accounts. Where do you get brought in? At what point in the process do the pros get called in to help everyone understand what the problem is?
Is your question, when do I get called in, or when should I get called in?
Because
they're two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's do when you do and then when you should.
Okay. When I do get called in, quite often is at the wrong time, but they're now having significant issues with their roof, and more people are complaining about issues, and now they want it done.
Right.
So the process, particularly for a strata, is lengthier than for an individual building.
Oh,
owner,
yeah.
Because they have to get everything approved, right? So, I mean, I can write a specification today and have it ready with prices back in 3 weeks. It usually takes about 3 weeks from the time the spec is done till the prices come back.
Okay.
But if I'm already prepared to write the specification. So if you call me up and say, we'd like to have you come out and look at our roof, well, I've got to now schedule my time to come out and look at your roof if I don't already know it. I've got to look over your roof. I've got to measure it. I've got to walk the whole roof system and see what's needed. Then I've got to come back and digest that information and put it into a specification, which might take me a couple of weeks to do. So there is a bit of a lengthy process to just the formulation of a specification, and then getting the prices back. And then the strata council has to review it, and the owners have to vote on it.
Right.
So if this is all done or the process is started in the late summer, early fall, or even just the fall, let's say, in preparation for the following spring-summer season,
Okay.
that's the best scenario
Right.
because it gives you more time to prepare.
So that's when you should be
That's
called
when
in?
we should. When we do get called in a lot,
Last minute city, right?
Could be December 31st or something like that, or
Right.
or even February, where they, summer is coming. Well, okay, you're starting in February, you can still get it done, but you have to understand that the roofing contractors will get busy with other work, and the longer you leave it, the more booked up they're going to get, and now you're trying to make a last-minute call to have them come and do your roofing. They're not going to be able to fit you until later in the season. So now your project might start in August, and if it's a 6-month project and it's starting in August, you're going to get a couple months of good weather, but now you're going to drift into our rainy season. As you know, November is wet,
Voila.
and now you've got a roofing job underway.
Right.
So depending on the size of your project, depending on the complexity of it, location, obviously, there's some areas that are wetter than others. You can fit it in later in the year, but if it's a very large project that's going to be 6 months worth of work, you want to start that early spring.
And I would think in a lot of strata council environments too, the members of the council they know what the problem is, but now they've got to convince a majority of the owners to get on side and then agree to X number of dollars per unit and so on. That process, I'm sure the timeline associated with that is underestimated by a lot of strata councils. Oh, we'll take a couple of weeks, we'll get everybody on side, and it can take months.
Yeah. And I've seen scenarios where they've been tossing around the idea of dealing with a roof. They've actually had people's decks undone, so they can't even use their deck areas. We're talking about a flat roof here. And so the decks have been undone for a couple of years while they've been chasing leaks, and the owners are very mad about that. But there's other owners in the building that are stopping the process because they don't want to spend the money.
Right.
And they're not their decks, so they don't care. So now you end up with a bit of a fight going on, and every time the motion's brought forward to vote and get the roof done, they defeat it. So now the process is being dragged out even more and more and more, and it's very difficult at that point to try and get things rolling again.
And if you're been through this experience, or perhaps you're aware of some roof issues coming down the pike, you should probably know that the earlier in the process you involve the pros, the better off it's going to end up for everyone involved, not just the residents, but the contractors, the professional people who are going to do the best possible job. The longest notice and the more lead time you can give yourself and everyone else involved, the better job, the better quality job you're going to end up with.
That's right.
All right. Our guest is Sean Lang. Mr. Lang is the president of Interprovincial Roof Consultants, online, by the way, at iprc.ca. And we're back with lots more here on CIL 650 after this time out.
This is Experts on Call on CIL 650.